Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Celebrate Southern Africa. My name is Dawn Denton, and this evening we are chatting to someone. Now, I'm not sure where Southern Africa ends. It's just the African family, I suppose. I think anything south of the equator is Southern Africa. So then everything below falls into the family of Southern Africa. And I'm joined by the fabulous Comfort Smithson, who actually is also just up the road. She's in Bath. She's just a half an hour from where I am. And I am absolutely in love with your business. So tell us about your business and what you do, because it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks again for this, Dawn. I'm so glad that we actually finally get to talk, and I get to share my story every time, and it's just exciting for me all the time. But yeah, hi everyone. I'm Comfort Smithson, and I'm the founder of Fundi Box. Fundi being obviously a Swahili word for, crafter, maker, a person who makes things, expert, all those words. Basically, you're dealing with your hands pretty much. So basically, these are African inspired craft kits, and I put together basically projects every single month that you can, basically enjoy the moment of crafting, and just put the project together, let you know what it is, and then send you everything that you need to actually make that project for that month. And yeah, it's just for the fun of it, and for just enjoying, just to get some creative juices flowing. So yeah.
So tell me, have you always been a crafter?
Yes, I'm a serial crafter, serial DIYer. I have itchy hands. Like it's just me. Like
Can you sit in front of the TV and not actually keep your hands still, or do you have to be doing something when you're in front of the TV?
Funny enough, I could actually be okay with sitting in front of the TV, not doing anything, but I will see something on the TV and then start to think, ooh, that's nice. I wonder how they
can I make that one?
Exactly. That's the thing. So it's either I'm doing something, or I'll see something there, and then the ideas just start rolling. So yeah.
So tell us about your life journey and how you ended up in the UK, because that's quite, I mean, you've jumped a couple of countries in the meantime.
Yeah. So I basically born and bred from Uganda. So when you said southern part of the equator, I think Uganda kind of falls in between.
Yeah, so that's fine. We'll take it. Come on, join the family.
And, funny enough, like my hometown is actually north of the equator.
Okay, well, we need to end that here now.
But yeah, so I born and bred from Uganda, and then moved to Tanzania for uni, and where I studied architecture. So I'm an architect by training. And then I stayed on there and basically worked there as an architect and an urban consultant. Then from there, I moved to Germany to do my master's with my then fiance, who I met in Tanzania as well.
So now tell me what your master's was about, because that's exciting. Is it
architectural? My master's was in urban management, actually, because while I was doing architecture, I felt, I love doing the houses and everything, but I enjoy the bigger picture of seeing everything come together, like the spaces that are not used. And funny enough, my architectural thesis was about derelict trains and how to turn them into fun spaces.
Wow, that's
it was
amazing.
Like a whole train yard that I basically recreated into sort of a public space with cafes in there and fun trips for kids. It was, yeah, so basically that was the moment when I realized I'm more into, creating bigger spaces, and that's why my master's was in urban management. And yeah, and then from there, after I finished my master's, got married, had my first child, and yeah, then we moved to the UK, where my husband now is from, and we started a new life, and basically this is it now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now the concept of the Fundi Box, because I think with a crafting is also quite a social activity, isn't it? It's quite fun to sit the kids down, to sit family, friends down, say, come on, let's make stuff. Because I mean, when I first moved to Frome, where I now live, I decided to go and learn how. I wanted to crochet, and I didn't know how. And I thought, well, there's a class. I mean, I can learn online, but I'll go meet people at the class.
Yeah.
And my whole vision of this, everyone sitting around chatting, is amazing and exciting and fun. And then I get to the class, and when you first start crocheting, it's all very tight, and nobody talks because it's concentration. So that kind of defeated the object for me. Yeah. But I think about crafting classes where people, oh, can you pass that? And then they say, so tell me about your husband. And then they chat. Yeah. It's such a social thing. So you obviously wanted to share crafting with people. So you said, here we go. Here's a box every month. You can make something fun, and you get to share it with the kids. Now, tell me where your inspirations come from.
So another thing that I've actually been learning while moving, obviously, you probably realize it, moving from Africa context to Europe is like seasons, and then people are very much into particular times of the year and certain traditions which were not really there. So I also had to put that. So everything that I come up with, the fact that it's African inspired, that's just literally it. It's not like it's African completely. So it could just have a hint of Africa, probably a fabric, or even just the concept of it. It's not like it has to be completely African. So because obviously in Europe, then if I restricted it to be just African, it wouldn't really, like, people struggled. And in fact, it was one of the first questions that everyone who was joining in were like, ooh, does it, like, do I fit in that or do I not? And then, so I've been trying to explain that it's actually inclusive. It's just an African inspired and a bit of color and stuff, but that's pretty much how it is. So all the concepts, I try as much as possible, to make the projects useful. In other words, there are things that you're not just going to craft for the fun. I mean, I love the idea that you can craft for the fun of it, but I want you to be able to use whatever it is that you're making. So that's like condition number one for all the projects that come. And then I'm also trying to make sure that everyone gets to experience a different technique all the time. So I will try not to repeat and try not to, and just basically coming up with the ideas that way. And again, based on the seasons and what would be needed. So for example, obviously November, I knew Christmas was coming up. So the November box was given the times also for when I take in orders and stuff, which we'll talk about later probably. And I needed to make sure that you have it in time for setting up your Christmas boxes. So the timings also matter. So again, like the one that is currently available now, the coasters, I know it's winter, it's cold, and you need, you're sort of just going to sit back, and everyone's having a cuppa all the time, and everyone needs a cuppa. And also it's going to be very full on because everyone is, Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. So if I put a project like, I don't know, making a lampshade, you're not going to have the time really to start, thinking about making a lampshade now. So it's easier to just, it's just a coaster, and you're just drawing with your hand, and working out how to design it. It's just simpler and less, you don't think about. So there's so many little nitty gritty ideas that I need to consider when I'm coming up with the box. And that's why doing it as a subscription works best for me, because there's so many tiny, like I said, the tiny considerations I have to make. Is this easy enough, but then again challenging enough for those who are avid, like serious crafters, and then there are those who are just starting out and stuff like that. So there's so many little questions. So it's so much easier to just sit down and have it for 1 month, and I know all these details are going to go in, and then I can come up with that.
So how long does it take you from conception of a box to ready to go?
It depends, really. It depends on the project. For example, the Christmas project was an easy one, because that one I'd always envisioned it from a long time ago. But then I had just the one, the fabric covered garland. And then I thought, oh, but I think it's Christmas, it's family time. So then the other concept sort of added on. So there are moments when I have to stop. But it really depends. I mean, the Christmas one came up really quickly. The one for the mirror took a bit of time.
Oh, that was stunning.
Yeah, because I initially wanted to do baskets. Then I thought, not so many people will be able to do baskets right from the get-go. And let me introduce them to weaving in an easier way, a calmer way. and which is a bit straightforward. So with the mirror, of course, you're just sort of using glue. You put the glue there, and then it's just the weaving that goes around and stuff like that. So yeah, that one took me a bit of time to come up with, because then I needed to think, is the mirror going to be too heavy? Is it going to, how will they hang it up? What kind of sticks do I want? I wanted to put natural sticks initially, but then I thought, ooh, will that fit in the box? Because, these are like all the details you have to think about.
Oh,
does it fit in the box? Does
so
it
tricky.
work? Yeah, so it's all that. And then on top of that, inside each Fundi box that goes out, there has to be a gift from Africa. So something that is handmade by an artisan in Africa or something. So that's also another dimension to start thinking about. So I'll come up with a concept, but then I think, okay, so I've done this, but what I need a complimentary gift, and then who am I going to get these gifts from? So it's just
what it's really doing you is keeping you not only connected to your customers, because you constantly have to know your ideal customer, what they are interested in, what level they're interested in, how excited they get about things. But then you're also connecting with the artisans and the crafters in Africa. So where predominantly do you source your gifts from?
I basically try, and that's the other thing, I have to try and make it across the continent, really. Of course, for these initial ones that I've started with, it was easier because it's home. So I was very much in East Africa and trying to get them from East Africa. The last one that went in the Christmas box actually were the Swazi candles, which were, and then so the ones that I can actually directly get from East Africa by myself, I can. And so like the fabrics for the first box. But recently I've also been supporting, the businesses here that are basically
importing the stuff.
Yeah, importing it from here, because I realized doing it that way supports the businesses here as much as they're supporting the businesses back in Africa. So
and also, do you know what? It's about creating that network around you as well.
Exactly.
Network here in the UK, because then you can access more and quickly, and which makes it, and more efficiently, really, which is also better. Yeah. So the name Fundi, why did you specifically choose that? Was it just because it was a word that meant something? Did it just come to you like in the middle of the night? You go, oh no, I know what I'm going to call him.
Not really, actually. At first, I desperately wanted it to be AfriCraft or African Craft or something box, and because I was like, I know it has to be African has to be there, craft has to be there, but then there's so many AfriCraft everywhere. And then I just kept thinking, but what is it? And I was wondering, the concern as well is, do you put an African word that people will realize? Because I desperately wanted to put an African word, but then initially I was thinking, well, people won't recognize it, so I have to put an English word instead. But after a while, I was like, you know what? No, we're making things, and I want you to feel like you actually can do this. It's not that, it's not that complicated. And even when you'll be surprised and you enjoy your results after that. And the easiest way to think of that, I was like, and I remember I was explaining it to my husband. I was like, I want them to feel kama fundi. And because we were speaking in Swahili, and I was like, kama fundi, you're fundi. And then they were like, I was like, that's it. Exactly. I want them to be fundis. So yeah, Fundi, like, it's going to be your box. You're going to become a Fundi. You're going to become a maker. You're going to become an expert at this thing in your own right. You do it the way you want to do it. I'll give you everything that you need, but you redesign it in any way that you want. So yeah, that's how the name came. And I've been extremely excited and happy to have it as Fundi, because every time it goes out, I literally in my head, I'm just saying, yeah, another Fundi is going to be making that. Another Fundi, like I've just created.
Oh, so you've got your tribe of crafters is called your Fundis.
Yes, exactly. My Fundis.
Hey, Fundis, here you go. Here's your next one.
My team of Fundis, and all of them are around now. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely love it. And so tell me, your husband, does he speak Swahili?
Oh yeah, he's such a, like, he knows Swahili so well. I actually clearly remember one time when we're doing a house in Tanzania, and the actual Fundis who were working on the house,
the real ones.
Yeah, the real ones. He was supposed to meet them at the roadside or something, And then he goes by the road to sort of give them directions to come to the house. And he stands there and he's on the phone and he's saying, Nikwapa, I'm here, I'm right here. And he's speaking in Swahili. And the guys just drove past him because he's white, obviously. So then he was like, huh? He's like, you've just gone past me now, like he's speaking in Swahili. And then they drove back and like, no way.
No way, you're speaking Swahili
you?
so beautifully.
Like that's literally how his Swahili is. So yeah, it's just good fun, really. So now the kids as well get to know it.
I was just going to ask about the kids. So they get to speak a Swahili too?
Yeah, they're full on. They pretty much know a couple of words right now.
Okay. Well, you've got to start somewhere. So tell me, what skills from your architectural world have you brought into your Fundi boxes?
That's a good one. So from architecture, one, of course, it's just basically about making sure that it is visually, obviously, pleasing. So it's not just something that you're making which really isn't as pretty as whatever, but it has to be visually appealing. But again, the one that I mentioned at the beginning is the functionality, that it has to be useful, like it has to work somehow. So that is probably the biggest bit of architecture that drives me. So even basically the little details of the dimensions and whatnot and all those things, all of that comes in, but it's really mostly the functionality of this item, that because in architecture, every single space is accounted for because your client is going to pay for every single square meter. So you have to make sure exactly
millimeter.
Literally, yeah. So you have to make sure it all works. And that's basically what I do with the craft kits. Every single thing that is going to be done has to make sense. Like you don't just put something just because you want to. And then at the end of it all, it has to look really beautiful, and like it has to work. It has to look pretty. It has to look lovely. You have to enjoy it. Once you look at it, you have to have that and that was always the thing, because I was always like, I remember being taught that in school, when someone walks into a space, they need to have that if it's a house that you're doing for someone at home, once they walk into their home, they want to feel like this is home. So it's the same feeling that I always work towards with the craft kits. Like once they're done with the project, you just want to feel like, this is beautiful. I did.
So are we one day going to get a house in the Fundi box?
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, you mentioned that. When I was planning for the next ones next year, there was one project that I was like, "Oh, this could be cool. We could actually make it as a little birdhouse." But yeah.
Oh, exclusive here on Celebrate Southern Africa. Exclusive birdhouse coming up in 2021.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, definitely at some point it will come in.
So tell us what your future plans are for Fundi Box.
I just want to keep going and bringing in as many, like I said, as many fundis as possible. I just want people to enjoy it, and I really do want to bring in the kids box. So at the moment I have the adult kits, and the kids ones I only bring in once in a while. So I did one for Christmas, going to do another one for Easter. So I only have them planned out for the bigger sort of family time, because again, something that I'm trying to learn with being in UK now is basically the condition. Like I initially wanted it to go adults and kids, but then I found out there are few restrictions with things that you have to put for kids. There's like so many rules around it. So I can only do so much, and I'm still trying to work that out. But the plan is, and that hopefully it's soon, because I think I've now started to figure it out and work it out, is the kids will go out together. That means parents and kids can sit down and they're doing, because they'll still be the same materials. So if you're doing a basket, then the kids will have their version of a basket. If they're doing, it depends, whatever technique you're doing has to be complementary. So yeah, I'm really big on trying to make sure it's family time, as in it's not just crafting for yourself, which would be great, it's self-care, but if I can make it as involved as possible, so you and your family, you and your sisters, you and your kids can all get to enjoy the crafting time, that for me would be a huge bonus. Like I would have achieved one of the many goals that I have with Fundi Box.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's so exciting. So tell me now, where can people find you and how can they get hold of these amazing boxes?
So I think one thing that I need to really clarify is they are mainly I'm doing it as a subscription service, although you can buy if you're not 100% committed to getting into a subscription, which is fine. I mean, with the subscription you can cancel anytime. So you get in this month, not interested, you can cancel anytime. So the subscriptions are $24.99. And then, but if you really don't want to do that, you can always buy just a one-off box. And the one-off box is at $27.99, and it's all on my website, www.fundibox.co.uk. So basically you'll see all the previous kits and all the terms for subscribing, or if you just want a one-off box, or if you want a gift. And speaking of gifts, I do have an offer that's going on at the moment. So if you want to gift someone if you want to gift someone Fundi Box, if you buy a 1-month subscription, you get the gift card sent immediately to the person, so you don't have to wait for Christmas, and then they'll start with whichever one you've decided. If you buy a 3-month subscription, you get an African gift from a crafter, plus your gift card sent immediately, so you will still get something in time for Christmas. And if you buy a 6-month subscription, you get a free Fundi Box plus your 6 months. So in other words, you pretty much get 7 months plus an African gift plus your gift card.
I thought you were going to say you'll throw in a fundi and send that over as well.
No.
And yes, your box and the fundi is going to come along.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, so they're all on the website, and just more than welcome to join, really. It's guys, it's fun. It's really good fun. I enjoy making them I don't even like, it's so much fun making them. Sometimes I'm just like, I want to announce to the world, you're going to do this and this and this and this, but I'm just like, no, you have to kind of keep calm and
Oh, I know. It's exciting when you created something that you love so much, and also you're so lucky that you do something that just inspires you. And I was talking earlier on to someone, and we were talking about how you can end up in a job that you just are doing for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And you actually haven't found your inspiration. You haven't found your direction. And I feel really sad for people who haven't managed to find, they just slog every day on the same thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And, for me, it was actually strange because I think it's just been a blessing, moving to the UK and then becoming a full-time mom. And like I said, I just have itchy fingers. Like I was determined to, raise my kids and stuff like that. But then I'm also just the kind of person who just can sit back doing nothing. So I thought, okay, let me just start making things for myself, until I was talking to someone and they actually said, why don't you, make a business out of it? I was like, what? You can actually do that? What? Wait, wow. Tell me. And then I was like, okay, let me give it a try. Let me just try and see if it would work or if it doesn't. And because every time I made things on my own, like I shared it on my own pages, and everyone was like, wow, that's really cool. And if some of them are like the simplest things, I'm just thinking, I just put this and this and this together. Like, I want one. How do I do that? I was just like, oh, okay, I'll show you.
There's a market here.
Exactly. I got it. So that's how it did. And gosh, it's just been, the fact that I can do that, because I really tried to find a way to make sense of my itchy fingers, and doing that, and as well as trying to make some time for myself at the same time, make sense of it and make some money out of it while, doing something useful, if that makes sense.
And also, what, gifts are great, but there's a journey that to create something feels so much special. I mean, I know when I was at school and I made my mother something yucky, I mean, it wasn't even nice, but she treasured it, because it was like, oh, you made that. And there's still things that I've made that I look and I go, oh, it's not very good, but you know what, I made it. I don't care. I made it. That's fine.
I mean, it's so rewarding on so many levels. Like, you just, I don't know how to explain it. Like until you experience it yourself, there's just no way to tell. And yeah, and it's just, it takes you to a whole different space when you're crafting. You know, you're there and you just, you know, taking time out for yourself, and then you go into a whole other world. You're trying to focus on this thing and trying to make it work and make it look pretty, and you're enjoying it, and you're enjoying the little challenge that's in there. So even for workaholics, it works really great because it's
well,
like,
yeah, because you know, it slows you down. It makes you
exactly,
sit down, focus on something, be present with something that you're
yeah,
creating, and completely in the moment. Because and then
100%,
the rest of your world can collapse around you. This is what I'm doing now.
Dawn, you just took the words right out of my mouth. Literally, the whole world pretty much just stops, and you're here, and it just, you're in the zone. It's such a beautiful place to be. To be fair.
Well, you know, I mean, I haven't been to East Africa, but I think there's a real culture of crafting in East Africa, isn't there? I mean, I know across Africa, you know, every part of Africa, every corner of Africa, and this is why our continent is so bloody special. I love it. I mean, I don't think people talk, I mean, about South America like this, do they? I don't know. I had this conversation with young Marys the other day, and we were saying, Lola, who runs this beautiful candle, African candle company, and all her scents are from Africa as well. So her scents are, so she's got like, I mean, just wonderful. And I said to her, it's Africa. Do you know, like, no one cares if you've got a scented candle from Brazil.
Exactly.
So there really is well, I'm asking, is there a real craft culture in East Africa?
Yeah, it is. It's, and it's actually just starting to really sift through now, and that's why I made it a point that part of Fundi Box there has to be a craft from, you know, well, initially it was East Africa, but from Africa, because I want to put the spotlight on them just as much as I want you to also put the spotlight on yourself. But I want to show the world that, guys, there is talent. There's crazy mad talent down there. It's just, it's amazing. Like,
and the world needs to know. The world needs to know.
The world needs to know. So that's why I'm going to, like, if Fundi Box is my first avenue through to do this, I will gladly, and I'm going to make the most of it to make sure everyone gets to realize, guys, there's so much talent down. Like, I can't even explain it, but it's really big. It's like the world is the limit for, the sky is the limit for those guys. It's just,
very
they
much.
can make anything out of everything.
And that was the other thing that I was talking to another a South African business, Zuzar Trading, and she was talking about the recycling culture that the rest of the world is only catching up now. All my life we've been recycling. You know, you find something and you make it into something. You know, you've got, I don't know, wire or rubbish or crisp packets or something.
Paper, newspaper, everything. Honestly, and I think that's what made it even more special when I used to look at it, and even now they're still doing it. You know, it's like, guys, how did you even think of doing that? But then it's also because they have to. I mean, that's all they have to work with. But then the things that they make are just,
the creativity is incredible.
Exactly. So it's just,
Well, I definitely now I have to put East Africa on my next time I can get on an airplane. That's where I'm going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You definitely have to make a trip.
So just finally, so tell us, your website is fundibox.co.uk, and you're on. Tell us where else we can find you on Instagram.
Yes, I'm also on Instagram. The handle is @fundi.box.
Did someone else have Fundi Box?
Yeah, someone else had Fundi, but she's not used it in ages.
Oh, I'm gonna send her a rude
like
message.
a kid's something. It's been like years, and I was like, come on, really? Anyway, so yeah, fundi.box. And on Facebook it is Fundi Box. I know there are so many that will pop up, but you will see Fundi Box it's quite.
Well, your logo is beautiful.
Our logo, yes,
nice and simple. It's gorgeous.
Fundi Box, African inspired kits. You'll see the logo. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Comfort, it's been such a joy and such a pleasure to chat to you. And I look forward to seeing this business just grow and grow and grow, and the whole world finding out how amazing we are in Africa.
Oh, thank you so much, Dawn. Honestly, guys, it's exciting. It's really
it is. The sky's the limit. Here we go.
Yes, the sky is definitely the limit.
Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
And you. Bye-bye.